Hello, everybody. This is Mark Comfort, and my wife Mimi and I just got back from a wonderful vacation in the Rocky Mountains. And you know what? We needed that vacation. You all need a vacation. Everybody needs a vacation. And I think this is going to be so much fun today to have you learn about this unique vacation opportunity with Grand Canyon Railways. Um, and Robin will be Robin Koval, the representative from Grand Canyon Railways and Hotels, I'm supposed to say, and Hotels will be doing this seminar. But our own Cassie Johnson has been on this experience, so she's going to share a few minutes of her personal experience to let you know about that. And then I'm going to have Robin go through her presentation. But I do want to tell you, there's no doubt about it. National parks right now are very, very popular. Then you add the very popular train experience. And train experiences all around the world, especially luxury train experiences, have become incredibly popular. But now we are stymied by what's going on, where we really have very few choices there in the United States. So this is going to be tremendously of interest to you, I do believe. I'm excited about this. I actually wait till you hear about the luxury Polar Express train experience. I've already talked to Robin about my family, my brothers and my kids and my grandkids and their kids and grandkids doing one of these private charters on that Polar Express around the Christmas time. We're already talking about that, so we are very, very excited. But hey, before I begin and turn it over to Cassie, we had, for the first time in many, many months, some really good news today. And very typical, the CDC made this very low key. You know, they made it very, very public about the 14-day quarantine when it went into effect, but they didn't make it public at all. But they have just rescinded the 14-day quarantine period of time when you come back to the United States from an international travel or from a state in the United States that has had a lot of COVID cases. So that is good news. That's really good news. The second part of the good news that we've received this week is that the Bahamian Health Department, the Bahamian government in the Bahamas, has reversed their decision, and they are now welcoming Americans to the Bahamas. Now that, to me, means we might very soon be seeing cruise lines going like Royal Caribbean and Norwegian Cruise Line Carnival going into the Bahamas and maybe their private islands. So time will tell on that. But today we're going to talk about an experience in the United States that personally I'm very, very excited about, and I hope you will be too. So I am going to turn it over to our very own Cassie Johnson. And Cassie, if you'd be so kind, tell everybody about your personal experience on the Grand Canyon Railways.
No, thanks, Mark. Yeah, I was super lucky to be able to do this trip a few years ago with my boys and my husband. And, I think I found out about it years ago through a client who'd booked it. And it always had been on my bucket list. And, when I travel with the family, we like to make things pretty seamless and pretty easy. And the kids were, pretty young at that time. So I think they were probably 5 and probably 10 or 8 years old, I should say. So, we like nonstop flights. Unfortunately, even now with all the lack of flights that we have, you can still fly nonstop to and from Phoenix from Kansas City. And I know a lot of listeners may not necessarily be in Kansas City, but it's not hard to get those nonstop flights to this area still. So what we did is we rented a car from Phoenix and drove up and spent 2 nights in Sedona and just hiked and enjoyed the outdoors. And my gosh, what a perfect time to get to experience that right now with everyone doing their social distancing. And then from there we drove, it's about a 2.5-hour drive total. So we just drove a little bit further to get to Williams, Arizona. And then we stayed 2 nights at the Grand Canyon Railway Hotel. And that first night we got there late enough that we just were able to enjoy the pool, and there's all sorts of packages you can purchase, and Robin's going to talk all about that today. But we did one that included a dinner both nights, which was phenomenal, excellent food. My kids were in heaven with this massive buffet, and that they provide just lots of different choices, even for the pickiest eaters. And they do have a live guitarist in the evening there. And in the morning at like 9 a.m., you get to sign up for whether you want to, there's two different departure times. They're both morning departures. But before the departure, you get to watch a real live old Western shootout experience. So the kids just thought that was so much fun to get to see that. And then you'll see those people later on in your train experience. And I think Robin will probably talk a little bit about that too. But they kind of bring the entertainment with you on the train ride up to Grand Canyon. So what we did is we went up there. There's different packages. You can actually stay in the park, but we did not do that. We actually just did a day trip up there. So took the train up. I think it was about an hour. Goodness, my timing might be a little bit off because it's been several years since we did it. But you spend some time up in that area. We did a guided tour through the park on a bus tour with a brilliant guide who just taught us so much about the area, took some phenomenal pictures. Of course, I was scared to death half the time with two wild boys that think they're monkeys and don't know how to not chase each other. So, and then from there, we got to have some free time in Grand Canyon Park, and then turned back around and went back on the train. And then that evening, we enjoyed another incredible dinner. You are right there. Williams is right on Route 66. So we spent some time kind of driving around old Route 66 and once again played in the pool. And the next morning, we got up and went to Bearizona, which is a drive-through animal park with the real bears are just right out your window. It's pretty phenomenal. And made it back. Our flight home was at 6 p.m. that night, nonstop, and we even had some time to do some hiking along the way on the way home. So it just was a very, very, it was perfect. I mean, we were gone for a total of 4 nights, and our flight each way was not much more than 2.5 hours. It was just very seamless and an unforgettable experience that those kids, that train experience is something that they will never forget. Neither will my husband and I. Some of our favorite family photos actually came from that trip. So from here, I am going to pass you over to Robin. She is such a sweetheart. She came to our office quite often to visit us when she's in the Kansas City area, and we thank you so much for her relationship. So I'll pass you over to Robin. Here she is.
Hi, everyone. I want to start out by saying thank you to Mark and all of his agents at Cruise Holidays and Comfort Tours. Without them, I wouldn't be here today. They are experts at land and sea vacations, which makes them experts at offering and selling Grand Canyon Railway. So know that they can take care of pretty much the railway or any of your domestic travel that you're looking at. I'm going to go through a presentation that is going to include a video. So I'll just tell you ahead of time before I get to the video, if you're watching on a computer, your phone, a tablet, just make sure the volume is turned up. If you're on the phone, unfortunately, the sound does not come through the phone. It comes through whatever speakers of mode that you are using to watch the presentation. So just make sure that's turned up. It'll be a minute before I get to it. And I want to start out with really who we are, because we're a lot of national parks, including other things. So as you can see, looking at the top, we not only have Grand Canyon, South Rim, but we have Yellowstone, Glacier, Mount Rushmore, Rocky Mountain National Park, Zion. So we have a lot of national park experiences for your domestic travel, including the Grand Canyon Railway and Hotel, which is quite convenient that we have the South Rim where the lodges are concerned. In addition to that, we have Windstar Cruises, VBT bicycling tours, which are bicycling tours around the world if you're interested in that. I will say next year with a lot of these, you're going to see a more focus on domestic travel and domestic places. Country Walkers is also around the world, but walking tours. We have Cedar Creek Lodge, which sits right outside of Glacier National Park. We have the Grand Hotel, which sits right outside of South Rim Grand Canyon National Park. We also have the Oasis of Death Valley, which is a national park. That particular property is really an oasis in the middle of the desert. They're hurting a little bit this year because they were getting a lot of European visitors that wanted to visit in the summertime where they could stand in front of the thermometer that had 120 degrees or whatever the temperature was the day they were there. but it is truly a greenery in the middle of the desert because it sits off a natural spring. And then Holiday Vacations is a tour company that offers domestic and international tours that are guided. And again, their focus next year is going to be more domestic than international. So our goal as part of Xanterra Travel Collection, which is all of these in one, is to provide you a world of unforgettable experiences. So that being said, I'm going to show the video. Again, I'll be on mute during this, and I'll unmute myself when we're done, and we'll continue. And as I go through, so you know, I'm kind of going to address some of the health and safety issues also that we're doing right now since we are open and running, and there are things that are in place via the CDC, as was mentioned earlier, but also the state of Arizona. So let me get this video started here for you. It's about 5 minutes, and it'll give you an idea of what the train is all about.
Robin. You are muted. No, you're still muted. No. Your computer is on mute. If you hit that little microphone button right next to your, there you go.
I saw it. It was not unmuted when I was clicking on it. Sorry. So let me start over.
All right.
So people want to know exactly where we are. And so Williams, Arizona, since about 3 hours north of Phoenix, 3.5 hours from Las Vegas, and it could be 4 hours, and it could be a little less from Phoenix. Those are your major airports to fly into. And then Flagstaff is about 25 minutes from Williams, which also can be flown into. So, you know, American and United fly into Flagstaff if you wanted to do that. And there is a direct flight from Dallas into Flagstaff on Saturdays, which would cut a flight out for you from Kansas City. Hey, Mark, I can hear you. Then notice the train tracks going through Flagstaff. So we do connect up with Amtrak, and Amtrak is quite convenient out of Kansas City, which is nice. So if you wanted to take Amtrak from Kansas City, you can. The stop is in Flagstaff, and you can add a free transfer from Flagstaff over to Williams to the ticket if you decide to take Amtrak across. So we're quite convenient. And then you'll also see Sedona on the map. We are about 1 hour and 15 minutes from Sedona if you wanted to add that to your trip. So as you saw in the video, we sit on Old Route 66, a historic piece of Old Route 66 in Williams. And we are a small block as far as the train depot and the hotel from Old Route 66. And I'm going to go ahead and just go to the next slide so you kind of see. So this is our property. The hotel sits here in the yellowish taupish color. And then this is the restaurant, the depot, and the tracks. So basically you're coming out of the back of the hotel, crossing the parking lot and the tracks, and you would be on Old Route 66, which has very unique shopping and dining available. And this is a unique piece of Route 66. So, you know, we were train and native before we were ever Old Route 66, before the roads were built. So this actual piece encompasses our entire history in Williams, not just the Old Route 66 history, which makes it a little bit unique. So we were talking about the hotel. I'm going to try and talk about some of the health and safety as we go through so that you kind of know what we're doing currently. But this is the lobby of the hotel. We do have 298 rooms in our hotel with elevators. And as you saw in the picture prior, it's a figure 8. So it's just 2 circles that you will always find the lobby if you keep walking. You can't really get lost, even though it feels like you're going to get lost. As far as indoors goes, I will tell you anywhere indoor, we are requiring a mask, or the state of Arizona requires a mask. So that would be in any public spaces, in the hotel, the restaurant as you go in until you go to sit down, if you're over in the store, on the train. So masks will be required. We are cleaning public areas every 2 hours. So anything that can be touched, whether it's the front desk, door handles. I know they've changed the configuration of the seating in the lobby. I'm not sure what that looks like, but they are disinfecting those areas as well. There are hand sanitizing stations everywhere you go. So we're doing everything we can, hopefully, to keep everyone as safe as possible at the hotel. We have several amenities. You heard Cassie mention the pool. We do have an indoor pool and hot tub. Right now, I can tell you we are limited as to how many people can be in the pool, which is at 10 right now. And we are just monitoring that with a sign. So we're letting everybody police themselves, which tends to be working for us. That could change. I guess at the end of each month, the state of Arizona and their task force is meeting and looking at what they can open and what they can't open and how many people. So just know we are open with the indoor pool and hot tub right now. That could change. We could add more people, or they could close it based on what's going on in the state. We do offer free parking throughout the facility, which is unusual when you're out in the West. Everybody charges for parking, but we have a huge parking facility that can accommodate RVs, buses, large vehicles, and it is free. We do have free Wi-Fi throughout the property, so that is accessible. I've talked about the pool and hot tub. Fitness center. We do have a fitness center, and it is fairly recently remodeled with new equipment in there. Currently, it is closed, along with any gyms and anything else in the state of Arizona. But again, we should be getting to the end of the month where they might be addressing and opening the fitness center if they choose to, with what's going on with COVID. We have a game room and a playground on property. The game room currently is closed because it's in a small little room. However, the playground, which sits just on the other side of the parking lot, is open currently. Our RV park is open and it is sold out. So we do have the ability for you to travel across in your RV and stay on property. I would just suggest right now, definitely make reservations. It's not something you can just pull into because we have been selling out with more people traveling across the country in their RV park. And we offer a pet resort. So we do not allow pets in the hotel. It was originally built because people were leaving pets in their RVs, but we have basically a room for your pet. So you can go walk them, you can go feed them, whatever it is you would like to do. It's just they have their own room and are not allowed on the train or in the hotel. In the hotel itself, we do have a pub. It's called Spencer's Pub. We are off, it is open, and some of those tables have been taken out for the whole social distancing that needs to take place. They are open and serving their full menu. The only exception to this would be the bar is closed, since they have bars closed in the state of Arizona. So there's no seating at the bar. However, the pub is open and able to be used for dinner or snacks or just kind of hanging out if you'd like. And then outside the doors that you see over here on the back side, there are picnic tables and chairs outside where you can go sit down. This is not where most of our meals are included in a lot of packages, but this is not where the meals are included. It's just a place to just kind of go and relax, hang out. They have TVs to watch sporting events. If you want adult beverages, it's a great place to go. But this sits inside the hotel right off the lobby. As far as rooms go, we have multiple rooms. I'm going to pretty much narrow it down to 3. We have suites available. So as you can see by looking at the pictures, we have a separate bedroom that has 2 queen beds, flat screen TV, a sitting area. It does have a door, as you can see in this picture, which leads to the bedroom. We have a sitting area that has a flat screen TV. It has a walkout patio. And then the couch is a queen pull-out couch, along with a mini kitchenette area. And then the bathroom, these are the only rooms that have 2 sinks. So there's one inside the bathroom, one outside the bathroom, which makes it a little more convenient. And they will accommodate up to 6 people. And the best way I can describe these rooms to you, it's just like an embassy suite. So if you're used to staying at an embassy suites where you have the separate bedroom, that's what these rooms are similar to. Most people book our standards and deluxe rooms. You can see they're pretty similar. So really, what's the same and what's different? So we've got 2 queen beds, you can see in both rooms. Soft goods are a little different. We've got flat screen TVs in both rooms. All of our rooms are air conditioned. The bathrooms are identical. And refrigerators are in both rooms. So really, what's different? The deluxe rooms, I'll tell you, cost $18 more than the standard room. They are the most recently remodeled rooms that we have on our property. They are 2 years out as of this past March. And we've added a microwave to the room, and we've added a bath scale in the bathroom to the room. And I laugh at that because I think it's probably to measure or the weight of my luggage so that I know that I can take it back on the airplane to get it home. At least that's what I told them. The one thing that's changed, most of our rooms, actually all of our rooms had Keurig coffee makers in them, but currently those have been removed from the rooms for COVID, and you would have to go over to the restaurant to get your coffee. Other than that, there's not much difference between the two of those. I would stay in a standard room in a heartbeat. We do offer a restaurant, which I showed you in that original picture with the green top. It's just outside the back of the hotel. It is, originally it was buffet. It has now become cafeteria style where we're serving you. They're serving breakfast and dinner. Breakfast is probably one of my favorite breakfasts across the country traveling, and I get to eat a lot of nice breakfast. They do have an omelet station that is cooked to order, and then your normal fare with your sausage and your bacon and your eggs and your pancakes and your fruits. I will say this is how I kind of gauge my breakfast as far as it being a great breakfast or an okay breakfast. And it's always on the bacon. Everybody has a different taste in bacon. Some of it like it, in my opinion, what is not cooked and floppy, and some like it burnt and crispy. And this particular buffet or cafeteria style offers it from floppy to burnt. It doesn't matter. You can accommodate anything in between, which to me makes it a very great option for breakfast because everybody will be happy. Dinner, we have 1 to 2 carved meats available along with your normal salad bar. We have options for kids. We have ice cream and desserts. They offer beer and wine for purchase in the evening if you choose to have that with your dinner. And what we're doing in the restaurant right now for safety purposes is, like I said, it's gone from buffet to cafeteria style where we're serving you, and they're changing their gloves, they're changing the utensils and changing their masks every time that they change out a tray. They do have the seating in there set for social distancing, so there's limited seating, but they are allowing for grab and go, so you can actually go in, grab your meal, take it outside and eat it, take it back to your room and eat it, whatever you would like to do as far as that is concerned. But the food is actually a nice quality of food. You saw in the video the Wild West Shootout. That does take place every morning before the train leaves. We run a train that leaves at 9:30 in the morning, and it gets to the canyon at 11:45, so it's a 2-hour and 15-minute train ride. So this just kind of gets you excited before you get on the train. And funny enough, at least my favorite thing to say is you go to this fun show and everybody, as far as the bad guys, they all die. They're part of the Cataract Creek gang. So the marshal wins, and then they come back to life and they rob the train in the afternoon. And once they're done robbing the train, they go back to jail and they're out the next morning to start all over again. So it's really a fun experience with the Cataract Creek gang, and it kind of takes you back to that whole early 1900s and what happened when the train started running in 1901 with what was going on in our world at that time. The picture you're looking at is the depot along with the walkway and the train on the tracks, and you'll see the tree there at the back of the depot. That's where the Wild West Shootout takes place. So everything is walking distance, and again, you'll see the tracks. You cross the tracks and you're on Route 66. So it's easy to get around and to get where you need to go. As you saw in the video, we do run diesel and steam. I will tell you this year, it is going to be diesel the rest of the year. We also run 2 trains on occasion, which you heard Cassie mention. So when we're busy, normally we would run 2 trains for spring break, in the summertime, during holidays, and it leaves an hour apart. So one leaves at 9:30, one leaves at 10:30. There would be a Wild West Shootout for both. And then the steam engine, which, so you know, has been canceled through the end of this year. We're expecting it to be back in service by President's Day next year. Normally runs starting in March on the first Saturday of the month. and will run through the month of October on the first Saturday of the month. And then we sprinkle some dates in there for the steam engine. If you're interested, we'll do President's Day, Earth Day, and we have a floating anniversary date in September. So there'll be 2 departures in September for steam, and it's always the last Saturday of the month. So you can kind of plan around that if you like to do steam. On the train itself, you have multiple classes of service. I'm going to start at the lowest and work my way up to the most luxurious. So Pullman class is our lowest class of service. They'll fit 98 people. And as you can see by looking at the illegal head hanging outside the window here, it is not air conditioned. It is the only class of service that we have that is not air conditioned. So just know that if you're going to book Pullman class. Coach class is similar to Pullman. So I'm going to spend my time here versus on Pullman class, but you can see school bus type seats. Again, it's similar number of people. It is air conditioned starting here and going forward. It does allow for children. So, you know, children for us is ages 2 to 15. 16-year-old is considered an adult. So Pullman allows children, so does coach class. There are bathrooms on board. You have a passenger service attendant available to you in both classes. There's nothing else included. So if you're wanting to bring snacks on, you can do that. You can bring games. There is a cafe car normally on there that you can go to purchase adult beverages or snacks. That's being handled slightly differently. Everything is going to be individually packaged now when you go to purchase it on the train. And you will see the conductor will have a mask on, the entertainment's going to have a mask on. We're asking you to wear masks. As far as seating goes, we're running at about 30 to 40%, which means we're putting groups that are traveling together, and then there's 1 to 2 seats in between each party to kind of allow for the distancing on the train. The other thing we're doing is we're taking empty cars up with us also to allow for some of that distancing. So we're doing our best to keep everybody safe and to keep open so that people can enjoy a vacation and travel domestically right now. First class is a little higher class. Again, children will be allowed in this class. You'll notice you upgrade the seats a bit. You go into more of a motor coach type oversized seat that's more luxurious and comfortable. In most cases, the seats will rock and face each other so that you're not sitting across or back to back if you're traveling with a group of more than 2. And I say in most cases because there is an occasion where the seats will not allow, or the equipment will not allow for the seats to rock and face each other. It's rare, but it can happen. We do run historic train cars, so you'll notice looking at these pictures, they're all decorated different. We restore them back to the time they were on the tracks, which is why you're seeing the difference in the decoration and soft goods on each of these cars. With first class, we start to offer things, or things are included. So you get complimentary soft drinks, tea, coffee, and lemonade. They offer continental breakfast in the morning, hors d'oeuvres in the afternoon. And right now, because normally you would go help yourself to these items and they'd have them put out on a bar area, they're offering them in prepackaged. I'm not sure if it's on a plate or how they're prepackaging it, but it is going to be pre-sealed before it even ever comes on the train out of the kitchen. Observation dome class. So these are our Vista domes, which if you're thinking it's the little bubble domes that are sitting on the train. And currently, I will tell you through the end of 2020, we are not running this class. They've taken it off the train just because only 24 people will fit up in that little bubble dome, which means if you're doing it with maybe one family could fit up there. So they've just decided to take those off the tracks, but I will talk about it. So if you're going next year and want to do this class, you can. The lower level, which you can see in this picture, there are windows down here, is first class. So we do fill our seats and we do assign seats, so you know that. So sit in, or book the one that you want to sit in the majority of the time. As you can see, this one is 90% window and 10% solid, so it does get a little warm up there. On its warmest, it actually gets to about 78 degrees. That's not always, but so you know you can have that happen while you're up there. But it is a nice way to travel so you can see the different scenery on the way up. And this is the last class that we allow children in. If you're not traveling with children, I highly recommend our luxury dome, which is currently running. As you can see, the upstairs, again, is the oversized motor coach type seats. We do have banquette seating. The lower level is just oversized couches and chairs. So that is available to go up and down. There are two bathrooms and 3 bars in this particular class of service. We do offer a cash bar from first class on through our luxury classes. And again, no children are allowed. So this is an American Orient Express car that we put on the tracks that we have converted into a dome. And for that reason, we were able to change the air conditioning, reconfigure it. So this particular class will cool down to 68 degrees, and you will notice it's 2/3 window and 1/3 solid. So we got to design this versus using a historic train car. And then our luxury parlor class is always our last class of service on the train. And you can see those are oversized lounge chairs would be how I would describe them, along with the fact that you have the observation deck off the back where you can go outside and enjoy the weather. We do allow for mixing classes of service. So if you wanted to go up in first class and come back in luxury, you can do that. I would also recommend, if you're doing luxury, that you split the class of service and maybe go northbound in the luxury dome and southbound in the luxury parlor car. Luxury is luxury to us, so you have access to both no matter which one you've booked. You may not have a seat because if it's sold out, everybody has a assigned seat, so they'd be able to sit in their own seats. But if you're booking it split, you get to enjoy both, and the cost, so you know, is exactly the same. Just some of the scenery on the way up, which you can see changes. So the train ride, as I said, is 2 hours and 15 minutes up to the canyon. Williams itself is at 6,500 feet in elevation, and you're working your way up to the canyon, which is between 7,000 and 7,500 feet in elevation. So notice these 2 pictures. It's pretty desert. I find it very scenic. Some people would, some people don't, but you get to see this because you're dropping below 5,000 feet on your way up to the canyon. And you're just meandering your way up. You're not actually doing any cliff type rail riding. As a matter of fact, this picture here where you're coming into the Pinyon Pine Forest shows the One Trestle Bridge, which is the highest bridge that you're going to go over on your way to the canyon. But as you start climbing back in elevation, you'll see that the scenery changes. I do have a picture of the robbers here because the train does get robbed every afternoon. And it's just a great way for me to give you the tip that tipping is appropriate. And the robbers will walk through, and if people are waving a dollar bill at them, they're going to stop and pay a little more attention. You're never going to have anybody ask for tips, but you will see people tipping. So I'd like you to be prepared if you choose to tip. I would recommend a $20 bill per person broken down into 2 5s and 10 1s, and that allows you to tip your passenger service attendant, if you have a bus driver, the entertainment, whatever you choose to, and it's based on your experience. This is arriving at the canyon. So I get the question all the time, does it go into the Grand Canyon? So my answer is yes, it goes into the Grand Canyon National Park, but it does not go into the big hole in the ground, which is up here toward the top of the picture. You can see the train coming in. The depot is just off of the picture. This is Tovar Lodge, which I'm going to talk about. We've got Kachina Lodge, Thunderbird Lodge, and then off the picture is Bright Angel Lodge. So I'll talk about those going forward, but I at least want you to see that everything is pretty much walking distance when you get off the train. And I have counted it. Once you cross the street and head up the stairs, which come on this side of Tovar, you're 75 steps from the actual rim as far as the rim goes. And just to point out, when the shuttles are running, the shuttle stop to jump on a shuttle bus actually sits just across the street from the depot. So everything is convenient as far as getting around goes. This is a picture of the depot, the train coming in, and notice the buses. So normally we would be running tours up at the canyon, and they are included in our packages. But right now, the National Park Service has suspended all tours, all shuttles, all taxis within the national park through the end of 2020. So when you get up to the canyon right now, you're not going to get on a bus and do a tour. You're actually going to be out on your own walking around. And since the shuttles are shut down, it's everywhere that you can get walking around. So just know everything is walking distance. There are things that are open to do up there. It's just you're going to have to get there on your own 2 feet versus a shuttle and driving around. One of the recommendations I will make is we have partnered with Buck Wild Hummer Tours, which is a tour company that did manage to get a permit to get into the canyon. So they are actually meeting guests at the train and doing a guided tour around the canyon if you choose to. It's not through us, it's through them directly, but it is an option so that you're not having to do everything on your own to get around and see everything. And then the picture here with the gentleman and lady coming off the bus is to let you know that we are ADA accessible. So in this case, the buses, if they are running when you're up there, do hydraulically lower. They do have a ramp for wheelchairs. The only caveat to that is you need to be able to get yourself from your wheelchair to a seat because they will have to fold it up. We don't have tie downs or anything on those shuttles and buses up at the canyon. Normally our packages will include a night at the Maswick Lodge, and I'm going to show you where that's located a little later on, but it is about a 10-minute walk from the depot. It sits about 2 football fields off of the actual rim, which is kind of nice because you're going to see more wildlife down in that area if you're more excited about the deer and the elk and some of those things. The rooms are pretty simple, but they have 2 queen beds. You do have the walkout patio, flat screen TVs. The bathrooms do have blow dryers, and we're pretty eco-friendly. So there's pumps and those sorts of things for you to use as far as washing your hands and shampoo and those amenities. Notice the building is a 2-story building. It is stairs. There are no elevators at the canyon. So if you cannot do stairs, just make sure that we know that we need to book you a room out on the ground floor, and the lobby sits in a different building than the rooms. But it is a nice property for you to stay at. The nice thing about Maswick is because we run the lodges at the South Rim, we get to block rooms for train passengers at the Maswick. So normally you would have heard, you can't find a room at the canyon, or you have to book a year out. And normally that's true. Right now it's not normally that's true, but because we get those blocked rooms for the Maswick, you actually could find rooms with us available up to 2 or 3 months out. Bright Angel is another lodge. That's the one that sat off of the picture of the canyon when I was showing that as far as the train coming into the canyon. And Bright Angel was built for hikers, so there are shared bathroom rooms and there are rooms that include bathrooms. Right now, the shared bathroom rooms are not in service per the National Park Service until next year. And we do have cabins available also at Bright Angel. This particular property, most of the rooms run about the same price as Maswick. So if you wanted to book Bright Angel, it can be done. It's just on availability, and we have to have the agent call to book, as it's not something you can just check to see if it's available. Kachina and Thunderbird, these are my 2 favorite lodges. They are the only 2 that sit horizontal to the canyon. So we offer canyon view rooms. As you can see, those pictures, they're identical inside. So you can get 2 queen beds, you can get a king bed. All of them have bathrooms. So our rooms always have Keurigs, except for right now, the Keurigs have been removed from the room. So you're going to have to go purchase coffee. But this is a nice property. It was built in the 70s. And you can get a view room because it's horizontal. The other properties are built perpendicular to the canyon, whereas these were not. And they are partial canyon view rooms. It's not Hawaii partial canyon view. So as you can see, there's a couple of trees in these pictures. You're going to have to look around the trees to see the canyon. A canyon view room is running about $50 more a night than the Maswick is if you were to upgrade. And I can tell you right now, because the walk is 10 minutes from the depot down to Maswick, that if there's availability, they're upgrading anybody this year from Maswick to Kachina and Thunderbird to the parking lot view rooms. So you're automatically getting that upgrade, and if you want to continue the upgrade and do a canyon view, you can do that also. Lastly, we have El Tovar, which is the big flagship lodge that was built in 1906. There are 78 rooms here. We have standard, deluxe, and suites available. The suites are amazing. They actually have 4 of them that have huge walkout patios that you can go out that overlook the canyon. I highly recommend one of those rooms. As far as the standard and deluxe rooms, you can see looking at these pictures, there's not one room that's going to be the same. So you could have 2 standard rooms booked. They're going to be a different square footage. They might have a different type of bedding. It's based on what can fit in that room. As far as the hotel itself, it is absolutely amazing. So you can see the lobby in that bottom left-hand picture as you walk in with the ornate wood. It is actually 2 stories. So there is a sitting area up on the 2nd story. And then, so you know, this is 3 floors and there are no elevators. So if you need a ground floor, make sure you let us know that you need a ground floor. As far as luggage goes, because you're riding the train, you don't have to do anything with your luggage. We deliver it from Williams to your room at the canyon, and then we'll deliver it back from the canyon to your room in Williams. So you just need to take on the train what you need for the day. Dining. So right now, dining is limited. We do have several dining rooms up there available for you, but currently El Tovar is open. It is more of a gourmet type dining room, so you're going to get your several course meal. It's going to take a while. They do have beautiful windows that overlook the canyon, and just off the picture to the left is a room that has a solid wall of windows that overlooks the canyon. It is set up for distancing, so I definitely recommend making a reservation. And if you want, you can do grab and go, and you can take it out on the canyon and eat if you choose to, which was never an option in the past. Several of the other dining rooms are closed, but this one is open. So Maswick Cafeteria is currently open. The seating in the area at the Pizza Pub is closed, but they are still making pizza and serving it over in the cafeteria area. And so it's set up ethnically cafeteria style. So you've got your Mexican, your grilling, your Italian, your sandwiches, and it's all set up where they will box it up for you. You can take it back to your room, or you can go sit out on the canyon and enjoy your food. As far as what's open and closed up at the canyon, that changes daily. So at the end, I'm going to have some sites up that if you want to write them down, you can. And I know Nicole's going to send an email out that has these in there for you. But the visitor center is currently closed, so you know. However, on that same property where the visitor center sits, there's a store that's open with limited hours. And if you want to walk over and rent bicycles for the time that you're at the canyon, you can do that. That is currently open. Lookout Studios is open, which is the 3-tiered patio that goes over the canyon. It's not the glass walkway. Kolb Studios is closed, but that is where the Kolb Brothers Studios is in existence and in its entirety. So they were the first to ever take pictures and film the canyon. Verkamp's Visitor Center and Store is currently open, and so is the Bright Angel History Museum. Hermit's Rest, I believe, just opened. I can't remember. I'm going to give you a site here to go look, because that one's gone back and forth the last couple weeks I've been back to work. Hopi House is open, which is a Native American store that houses goods from all the 18 tribes in the Four Corners, and it's the only store that actually houses goods from all the tribes in the Four Corners. And Yavapai Geology Museum is open, which allows you to actually go in and see not only the canyon and the formation of the canyon, but some of the ruins that are in the canyon. But to find out what's open and closed, if you're going to book for 2020, you need to go to the National Park Service site, and that is nps.gov, so nationalparkservice.gov/Grand Canyon, and you can find what's open and what's closed at any period of time, since that can change based on what's going on in the state of Arizona and what the National Park Service and the CDC is mandating. And I'm sure the slide's going to change any minute. So as far as tours go at the canyon, again, I'm going to tell you the tours have been canceled through the end of 2020. They go back into effect on January 1st as of right now. But I at least want to let you know we do have the options available if you're up there for next year. We have tours out to Desert View Watchtower, which is the picture you see on top. Hermit's Rest is a historic area for their store, their trails, and they're famous for Thelma and Louise because that's where they drove off the canyon. We do offer mule rides. You can do a combination tour where you do a sunset tour and a watchtower tour, so that saves you a little bit of money. We offer an adventure where basically you get to see everything in the canyon. You get to fly over it up to Page, Arizona. You would get to do a tour of Antelope Canyon, which are slot canyons, and then a smooth water float on the river, or you can just choose to do the smooth water float if you choose to. You will need 2 nights up at the canyon if you do either of those because they are full days. We do offer sunrise tours when they are running, and I just thought you might like to see the pretty pictures. And then sunset tours. Again, they're canceled through the end of the year, but the one tip I'll give you if you're going out this year and you're going to be going to the rim on your own to watch the sunset or sunrise, you want to get out there about an hour and a half before the sun is set to rise or set on the horizon. And always look behind you, so behind the horizon. So if it's sunset, look to the east because that's where you're going to see all the beautiful colors and want to take your pictures as far as the canyon goes. Right now, Maverick Helicopter Tours is running. It's a 45 to 50-minute helicopter tour that can be added on, and it runs about $300 a person, so you have an idea on pricing. That does not include the taxes. But it's one thing to stand there and feel how big that canyon is, but it's another when you can get up in the air and realize why you can see the Grand Canyon from space. It's 277 miles long and 18 miles across at its furthest point. If you want to go down to the bottom without hiking it or muling it, we do have the option to add on a tour from Williams from our hotel called the Inner Canyon Tour. It is a full day, so you'll want an extra night in Williams. But it leaves at 9 o'clock in the morning, works your way west to Seligman, Arizona, which is Radiator Springs from Cars, continues on Route 66 to Peach Springs, Arizona, where they get a permit to start their way down to the bottom of the canyon. And you can see the road there in the picture. That's the type of driving you're going to be doing. You're going to meander your way down. It takes about an hour and a half to go 19 miles with some stops on the way down. They get to the bottom. There are porta potties down there. There are trails, fresh springs. You can hike around. You're going to have a boxed lunch included. They spend about an hour and a half at the bottom, work their way back up with some stops on the way back up. And then they get back to Williams about 5 o'clock in the afternoon. But it is a nice way to go to the bottom without having to hike it in the comfort of one of those coaches. As far as Williams go, there's plenty of sightseeing. You heard Cassie mention Bearzona, which is a wildlife park that's about 2 miles from the depot. It's one of my favorite places to go visit. Sunset Crater National Monument, which is this picture here, is a dormant volcano that sits just north of Flagstaff, and I call it Moonscape, and there are trails that you can hike around there. You've got Wapaki National Monument, which is this picture here, which is some of the most extensive Pueblo ruins that you can actually visit. Sedona, as I said, was about an hour and 15 minutes from Williams. We sit on Old Route 66. I will tell you one of my favorite drives in the world, and I'm a military brat, so I've gotten to live all over the world, is the drive from Sunset Crater to Wapaki. So I call it the drive from Moon to Mars because you go and you have this moonscape around you and it's black and it's beautiful, and you start climbing in elevation, and as you get to 8,500 feet in elevation, all of a sudden you see Mars in front of you because the painted desert is visible, and you're driving from the moon to Mars, and then you get into the painted desert where you can visit some of the ruins that are available, including Wapaki National Monument. So there's plenty to do as far as even right now that's outdoors where you wouldn't have to wear a mask unless you're in some sort of queuing line where you can't distance the 6 feet. I said I was going to show you kind of where everything was on a map. So real quick, you can see the depot is here. This is Tovar Lodge. You've got Kachina, Thunderbird, Bright Angel. Maswick sits here. So the rooms are in the trees. So the buildings that you saw are here in the trees. The dotted line is your rim. So we are about 2 football fields off of the rim if you're staying down at Maswick. And like I said, it's about a 10-minute walk from the depot. You've got the visitor center that sits over here along with the geology museum. The trail that's along the rim here in the village is paved. So it's an easy walk to get over there. I would say it's about 2.5 miles, if I remember, from Hopi House over to the visitor center where you can get to a bicycle if you would like to. And some of the museums are in between here. So the map just kind of gives you an idea. Everything's really close together and easily accessible if you can get around easily. We are ADA accessible. So we have ADA rooms in Williams, we have ADA rooms at the Canyon, we have lift on the train, we have plugs on the train for plugging in oxygen machines or scooters. So if you need any assistance at all, just let us know ahead of time and we can take care of that for you. And I'm going to get into a couple special events and I will be done. So Grand Canyon Railway offers Polar Express. We are going to be running that this year and it runs from November to December. We were the first company ever to offer the Polar Express experience back in the early 2000s. So we've had a chance to really perfect it. We've built the North Pole. You go through the magic tunnel to get to the North Pole. Santa is on the train and he does hand out a commemorative bell to the children. We have the chefs on board. We offer the cookies and cocoa. So we follow the book to a T. They read the book when you're on board. And we also have a sing-along, and the sing-along may or may not happen this year as far as COVID goes. We don't know. We won't know till we get closer. The one thing I will tell you is masks are going to be required on Polar Express this year. Other things that we have, which you heard Mark mention, is the charter. So we actually offer the opportunity for you to charter your own experience outside of the regular train. So it's called the Rail Baron Charter. They do have some cars that are specific to the charter, but we can bring any of the cars over to the charter that you choose to. We can accommodate anywhere from 2 people to 400 people. So it really depends on what it is that you would like. But you could charter the diesel or the steam engine. You can charter one car. You can have multiple cars. They have a couple that are sleeper cars, which right now can be reserved if you want to reserve them and stay at the depot inside those cars. It's customizable in that you can cater. So we have full kitchen galleys on a couple of those cars. You can have a cash bar and beverage service. You can have the live entertainment photographer. When we're running the tours at the canyon, you can add the tours at the canyon on. However, we can offer Buck Wild and Bearzona currently. You can stay at the canyon, you can stay in Williams, we can add transfers. It is customizable and we're going to find a way to make it the experience that you would like to have. So to give you an example of price, so roughly luxury on the regular train is going to run right around the $289 range per person without taxes and stuff included. On here, if we put the Santa Fe car on, which will offer 32 seats, and you fill all 32 seats, it runs about $219 a person. So it is quite reasonable, even though we're considering this a luxury option. Lastly, we have Ultimate Polar Express. So you can charter your own Polar Express experience where it's just your train departure. It's not your own car on the regular Polar Express departure. It is your own train departure, and it leaves a half an hour before or half an hour after the regular Polar Express. So you have your own Santa, you have your own conductor, you have your own chefs, and it's just your private experience. And it can be catered if you wanted to have it catered. Otherwise, it includes the cookies and cocoa. You can have a cash bar, which is not available on the regular Polar Express, so the adults can enjoy themselves also. And then they offer special gifts with the Ultimate Polar Charter that are not available on the regular Polar Express. But this is a great way for you to have a vacation this year and travel with your social bubble, so you're not mixing with a lot of other people that allow for you to have a reasonable vacation. Lastly, how do you book? And I do have links on here, so if you want to write any of them down, you can. But like I said, Nicole's going to send those out, so you don't have to write them down unless you choose to. But how do you book? Call these great agents at Cruise Holidays and Comfort Tours, because they've got this and they'll take care of you. And I will tell you that, if you've been out on Facebook or some of the social media reading the horror stories that people are going through with trying to cancel their vacations and get money back during this COVID time, whereas agents have the relationships with these tour vendors that allow for them to get you your refunds and take care of you or move the vacation or whatever it is that you need. So definitely use these agents to your advantage, because the cost is no different whether you use them or book direct with us. So I prefer that you use them and they get a chance to take care of you. Other than that, I guess I should ask, are there any questions? Otherwise, that is my presentation for you.
Hey, Robin, Mark here, Mark Comfort here. Can you hear me?
I can.
I do have a couple questions for you, and thank you for addressing the handicapped issues. We had a couple of questions like that.
Awesome.
Let's assume we're talking about normal times. How far out do you all normally book up? Is it 12 months out, or what do you think?
So as far as the railway goes, so I'm going to specifically address that first. So the Grand Canyon Railway itself, our booking window and availability at the canyon for the Maswick tends to be 6 to 12 weeks out. If it's a holiday or spring break, I would go out a little bit further than that. The earlier you book with us, the cheaper it's going to be, because we rate manage rooms. So as occupancy goes up, the price goes up. At the canyon in the past, I would tell you it is 13 months out. So normally in the month of August, we'd be booking for August of next year. September 1st, we'll start booking for September of next year. Currently, you can book 6 days out. We're not super busy. So it just depends on what you want. But like right now, if you're going to book for next year, you're going to get this year's pricing, because we don't raise prices till we get towards December. So the earlier you book, the better it is. And for us, there's not a lot of risk for you to book early if you know that you're going to want to do it. We have a cancellation policy of 3 days. So 3 days prior to your trip, you can cancel and get 100% refund to what you have paid towards your vacation.
Boy, that is risk-free. I like that. Now, on the pricing end of it, I assume, like almost all vendors, prices go up in peak season because of supply and demand. There's shoulder season, which is a little bit more reasonably priced, and then there's the non-peak season that is the best price. Is that correct with you all too?
That is correct. So our peak season, so you kind of know, is spring break, which for us is March and April, because we deal with year-round schools off of the West Coast, and then Easter's mixed in there. Summertime, I would say Memorial Day through the end of September, just because everybody waiting on the kids to go back to school tend to choose September, and it's absolutely gorgeous weather. October, November, and I say November with a question mark, because when Polar's not running, it does apply to November, but when Polar Express is running, we could sell out in Williams. But October, November, and then January, February tend to be shoulder seasons for us. December's pretty busy because of Polar Express. But other than that, weather-wise, you can't go wrong anytime you go. It's just you might run the risk of snow if you're in the time frame that we could receive snow.
But you told me you like it when there's snow on there. You said that's one of your best experiences ever.
That is true. So the best time I've ever seen the canyon was snow-kissed. I would say if you're going to do it during the time where snow can be expected, I would stay 2 nights up at the canyon, just because normally storms don't hover, they blow over. So if you have 2 nights, you might have 2 fabulous days up at the canyon, but you might have one where the canyon is socked in, and then the next day you're going to get to see it snow kissed. So when it's snow kissed, you get to see ledges and definition in that canyon that you would normally not ever see, along with the colors at the sunset of the painted desert. So it's a beautiful time to go if you're okay with dressing appropriately for winter weather.
Well, okay, that brings up the last question I have when you said dress. Let's talk about dress codes. Everybody wants to know what's appropriate to wear on these experiences.
Absolutely. So you're going to dress to layer would be how I would describe that. So, most people think the summer is hot, like Phoenix and Vegas, but it runs 20 to 30 degrees cooler because of the elevation. So you tend to be in the 80s, low 90s. Every now and then you'll hit upper 90s if they're having a heat wave, but most of the time it's upper 80s, low 90s during the summertime. But in the mornings and at night, as soon as that sun goes down, it's dropping down into the 50s and upper 40s. So you're going to want to be able to put things on and layer and have jackets. I would take a backpack where you can throw them in there and take them out. I would use closed-toe shoes because there's a lot of loose gravel up there. Flip-flops are not necessarily recommended. And if you're up there in flip-flops, tank, and a t-shirt, I guarantee you we will be selling you a sweatshirt and something else to get you warm in the evening. In May, October tends to be the same temperature range. You're probably going to be down in the 30s in the morning and mid to upper 70s during the day, unless a storm moves through, and it can drop pretty quick. For that time frame that you normally would expect snow, November, December, January, February, March, you can be in the mid 50s all the way into the low 60s if the sun's out. You'll be down in the 20s in the morning, and if a storm moves through, I would make sure you've got your thermals and everything else with you, because it can drop down into the single digits when that happens with a wind chill. And that date I was telling you that I remember that I saw the canyon was the most beautiful time I saw it, I can tell you the wind chill was 7 below that day.
Oh, good Lord Almighty.
I mean, I had my gloves, I had my big coat, I had my thermals, so I was very prepared, and it was not uncomfortable that day. It was the most gorgeous time I've ever seen it.
So, Robin, then let me ask you, like at dinner time meals, I assume every other experience, whether it's on the train or just at the hotels, is casual dress. But is the dining experience dress casual too?
For the most part, yes. So you can go in shorts and a t-shirt and tennis shoes if you choose to. Even El Tovar will allow that, although because it's more of a gourmet experience in the evening with reservations, it tends to be more of a business casual, although you will see people in there that are in their shorts and their t-shirts.
Okay, great. That's wonderful. And obviously through this whole wonderful presentation, there are lots and lots of options. We've seen that. So that's one of the benefits of booking with a knowledgeable expert like us at Cruise Holidays and Comfort Tours. We can customize that vacation, including the before and or after experiences with you all. If people want to stay in Phoenix longer or go to Sedona or stay in Vegas or Mesquite or go up to Flagstaff, whatever it might be, we can help with that. But there are a lot of options, and that is also one of the reasons why to use a professional vacation specialist like us, right?
Absolutely.
Well, cool. With that said, I think we've had a wonderful presentation. I know we had some comments that there were some sound issues. I just found out will be tomorrow. We will send links out to all of you who have responded to this registration of this webinar, and we will get you a link so you can watch it, listen to it, and maybe forward it on to anybody else you know that might want to go with you. I really love the idea when Robin and I talked earlier, for those of you that have just tuned in. I'm looking at this with both of my brothers and their kids and grandkids to do one of those private charters because I think what a great experience that would be, especially on the Polar Express. But Robin, again, thank you so very much for your time today. This was fascinating. I got to be honest with you. I love train experiences. You know, I've done that up in Alaska and a lot of places in the world, and so why not in the Grand Canyon? I can't think of a better way to see the Grand Canyon and see that part of the world and do it in a way that is very comfortable and enjoyable. So, Robin, thank you so much today for this wonderful information, and we look forward to sending you some good business and, most importantly, sending you some of our customers to the Grand Canyon railways and hotels.
Absolutely. Thank you, everyone, for your time.
Take care. This is Mark Comfort. We will talk to you soon. We want to help you find your vacation. Hopefully, it'll be for 2020, but if not, let us work with you on 2021 or 22. Take care of yourself, everybody, and go Chiefs.
Yay.